Many people regard Thanos, the meta tyrant, as dead and gone in his own deck. But I think maybe they're just stuck in the old ways because I have been playing a new and different Thanos deck to a massive amount of success recently. I've always vibed pretty well with the deck that I have affectionately nicknamed Chibi Supremacy. I made a video on it a few weeks ago in the heyday of the Thanos meta that I think went a little bit undiscovered because it's hard to deviate from the deck when people are very confident that they have it. But this is a deck that has a lot of potential. This is, of course, the Skaar Surtur Thanos list, and what it does is just add a lot of consistent point output to a deck that can still high roll very well. All of these 410s are legitimately good. They all have upsides that can reasonably be utilized, and their downsides are not all that bad. I think one of the things that gets lost in sort of Skaar and Surtur synergy decks is that they're rewarding you for doing something that is actively, legitimately amazing. And that's sort of the ethos of this list. We have Strange Supreme, who's rewarding us for playing stones, something we already want to do. We have Mockingbird, who's rewarding us for playing stones, something we already want to do. We have Surtur and we have Skaar. They're rewarding us for playing guys with big stats, something we already want to do. And that's just kind of why this deck makes sense and why it works right now. One of the things that I enjoy in Marvel Snap is being able to, if you'll bear with me on this analogy, sort of raw dog the metagame without all of the tech cards that people have for protection. It means that there are going to be certain matchups where the people are just going to be able to go over the top of you in a meaningful way. But being good enough at putting points on the board means that in most normal decks, or most games against the normal deck, you are probably going to be in a reasonable position, and they are probably going to be staring down the sort of avenue of, oh god, what if they actually have that one-cost Skaar? One of the most interesting things about this deck is that a lot of your turn 4 and 5s are spoken for, and that's not the worst thing in the world, but it does put a lot of pressure on proper play early. One of the things that I've noticed is I really enjoy playing out all the stones I can get, unless I am fairly confident that I am going to be able to get a Strange Supreme up to 10 power. If I'm fairly confident that I'll be able to do that, I have a lot of other options that open up to me. Because if you can get a Strange Supreme to 10 power, then suddenly you're looking at a one-cost Skaar. And that is an unbelievably powerful thing to bring to bear. This is, at its heart, a relatively fair mid-range deck. It's not necessarily all that different from a Sauron deck when you really get down to it. But what it does is it uses Thanos' unique suite of cards to gain additional advantages based on locations or high rolls. It allows you to play things like Cull Obsidian, who honestly is better than something like Typhoid Mary because he's just generally going to be a more valuable card unless you remove their downsides specifically. And then you just have a lot of ability to have confusing and awkward final turns thanks to the discounts on Skaar and Mockingbird. Effectively, this is a relatively fair Thanos deck that is going to be making a lot of final turn predictions and reads, but it does enough unfair stuff that it should go over the top of a lot of the mid-range decks people are playing right now. I won't make any bones about this one. Strange Supreme has legitimately fallen off. The loss of the draw on the Time Stone impacts him pretty hard because this is a deck that really cares about velocity. You're playing your Strange Supreme, right? Like, that's obviously a thing that you want a lot of stones for. When the stones draw other stones, that's really good for Strange Supreme. When one of them does that a lot less, that's really bad for Strange Supreme. Extremely straightforward. This is, on the other hand, a 2-drop that can get up to 10 power. If you can make that happen, that is an obviously incredible thing to do when you're looking down the avenue of Skaar. If you are a Skaar gamer, getting a 2-drop that can scale up to 10, it's something out of your wildest dreams. Sam Wilson felt pretty middling when I played this list, to be completely honest with you. I was often on my good draws, preferring to play basically anything else. I almost wonder if he could be Merlin, but I worry about, like, hand size stuff. This guy's really not doing a lot. Like, he's cool, he's there, he's discounting your Mockingbird, and that's it. Now, you're playing him because you're still a Strange Supreme deck, you're playing him because you're still a Mockingbird deck, but wow, did that nerf do a number on him. He is legitimately a lot worse. This is also one of the decks that would have really loved if the shield was 1 cost again for that Cull Obsidian stuff. Maybe they can give that back, because this guy is scraping the bottom of the barrel. I don't want to take him out because of the synergy he has with your cards that are very good, but it is kind of touch and go there for Sam Wilson. I really enjoy playing Surge in this list, and it's not necessarily the greatest card of all time, but there's like a specific bottleneck of energy on turn 5 where if you can get like a 3-cost 4/10 that allows you to play a couple more stones instead, that's like kind of make or break, both for the effects the stones have, the powering up of Strange Supreme, getting ones onto the board for Cull, and the same applies if you can discount a stone. So many of the cards in your deck at any given time are 4/10s and stones, and so that's really the ethos with the Surge here. I'm not 100% positive on her, but I have greatly enjoyed what she brings to the deck so far. One of the advantages of being a Thanos version of this deck is that you actually get to play both Armor and Cosmo, which, in a world where people are playing a bunch of not just Shang-Chi, but also, you know, Mercury Cannonball, these are really good cards. Like, you will win games off of preventing people from blowing up your stuff. It's going to be a very good thing for you to do. You will definitely see it happen. And because of that, I think that that is one of the key advantages of this deck over, say, a normal Sauron list, beyond just the Thanos location control stuff. Being an Armor Cosmo deck, A, gives you a little bit more ability to respond to certain locations, and B, really turns off a lot of the things that people are going to try to do to stop you. Okay, so we just talked about Armor. Cosmo and Armor have almost exactly the same role here. They are effectively the same card, except one of them is cheaper. Cosmo has some other unforeseen applications, like with certain locations or certain situations, but mostly they're the same card. So this guy has been nerfed enough that he's a relatively fair card, and I think that's a reasonable way to describe him. But when you think about what he actually is, which is a 3/5 with upside to get to like 3/9 or 3/11, you're kind of just like, oh wait, is that really, like, why is this guy a thing? How did we exist in the world where this guy was also discounting your Skaar for as long as we did? That's just like such an obviously ridiculous thing to do. And the reason it's so obviously ridiculous is it's like, there's not exactly a meaningful bit of counterplay to it, in the sense that, like, okay, play your Mobius to prevent the Skaar. Well, I'm playing 4/10s. You're playing a 3/3. I don't care. And I think that's the craziest thing about this card, is that it's a very on-rate and good scaler that rewards you for not going out of your way. Like, you look at like Athena, right? You're building your deck in a certain way. You're making plays that are not necessarily fully point optimal to keep on getting her triggers. This is just play 4/10s. Those are good already. Now, you might think that Atuma is the worst of the 4/10s. I think that he definitely carries some risk, and you are sometimes going to have to run those 50/50s until you get your Surtur big enough. It will happen occasionally, but here's what I will say. There are kind of a lot of people messing around with Annihilus stuff right now. This video is almost about an Annihilus deck, actually. And that is enough of a major use case for this guy that I think he's, like, been upgraded a little bit. This is a card that actually heinously ruins a clog deck, whether that be a semi-clog Annihilus thing or a full-on clog deck. This guy will clear up your space. Strange Supreme, he will do the same thing. And that, between these two cards, means that you just don't have to worry nearly as much about things like that, because you have these built-in answers. And I think this is a crucial part of it, these are built-in answers at an amazing rate. Crossbones probably is the worst of these guys. If I had to guess, I would say that he was, because he is legitimately difficult to play, I think, a decent enough amount of the time, especially now that Timestone isn't drawing. When Timestone was drawing, I think you could really count on just like, oh, okay, Timestone's drawing me cards, it's gonna be fine, I'm just gonna like keep playing small stuff, I'm never gonna really run out of it. The same principle that allowed other Thanos decks to be Wiccan decks was just like, oh, we just have enough volume that it's gonna be fine, right? When you're not drawing well, this guy will not save you. And I think one of the things about a Skaar deck is it is very easy to get saved when you are not drawing well, because you can get to like a 3-12 Skaar and then get discount one of these on a Surge, and suddenly you're looking at like 22 points on the final turn of the game. It's easy to save yourself, and he will never save you. And I think that is one of the awkward things about him. Cull probably just straight up the best of the 4-10s. You run a lot of 1s. You're very interested in playing 4-10s. It's a match made in heaven. Now, there are some complications, right? Strange Supreme eats your 1s. You don't have all of them. It can get a little bit awkward. Don't get me wrong. But by and large, this is the guy who you are most going to be able to play of your group of 4-10s. The most reliable. Not that he's 100% reliable, but where something like Atuma is reliable, but potentially a downside you have to play around, Atuma's always going to be playable. Crossbones never going to save you. Cull Obsidian sort of in the middle, where you're just going to have him be right often enough that he ends up sort of being the best of both worlds, right? It's easier to play around his downside than it is to play around Atuma's some of the time, especially once you get into those later situations where you need to add power to the lane that Atuma's in. Can get a little bit awkward. But at the same time, he's just got an easier restriction than Crossbones. Sorry. I don't think Thanos is ever really going to go away as long as this card exists. That's just sort of where I'm at. Like, this is one of the fundamentally unfair things about every Thanos list. Whether it's normal Thanos, Thanos ongoing, Thanos Arishem, or this. This is an unfair thing to do. And it is just always going to be like that until they do something about it. This deck almost certainly, like, it'd exist, but it would take a massive hit. The same goes for Arishem Thanos, all of that stuff. This is the card that Thanos is predicated on. It is in every Thanos deck. Almost no cards are in every Thanos deck. This one, all of them. I guess I should probably talk about where exactly Thanos is in this metagame, because it's not bad. I think the control Thanos sort of fell off a little bit. Ongoing Thanos runs the risk of getting pretty massively stat checked, but a lot of the stat check decks are falling out of the metagame, which means maybe it could be reasonable again. It's also just a little bit weird and predictable, I think. Whereas this deck is predictable right up until turn 6, basically. You know what your opponent is doing turns 1 through 5, but then on the final turn of the game, it's like, Jesus Christ, where are all the points going? What are they going to do with Armor Cosmo? What the hell is happening right now? And that is the most important turn to actually understand where the power is, right? Like, against an ongoing Thanos, a lot of the time it's like, oh, okay, they have a Spectrum and they have a Thanos. That's what they're going to do. And against this deck, it's so much harder to grasp it. This guy's gotten nerfed enough that I think it's probably worth talking about, like, the things that he does. He is another card where the same dynamic as Surtur applies, where it's like, when you really zoom out from a design perspective, why the hell are we rewarding people for playing great bodies? Like, doesn't that just seem a little bit weird? Shouldn't you be rewarding people for, like, going out of their way to do something cool? Why are we rewarding you for playing 4-10s? That just doesn't seem like a thing that should be happening. Why is the game rewarding me for doing something I should be doing anyway? And I realize a lot of good cards can probably be described this way. But I do feel like it's especially notable with this guy. Like, wait a minute, why is this an archetype? Like, did anyone sit back and say, is this a good thing to incentivize? Because the more I think about it, the more I'm just like, basically every other version of a scaler and a discounter, right? Like, most archetypes have your scaler, you have your discounter, you got your stuff, you know what I mean, right? Almost every other one of them is more interesting and requires more work and requires you to go out of your way more. And this one is a 712 that gets discounted whenever you have a 10 power guy. The other one is a 3-5 that scales up whenever you have a 10 power guy. And you're not doing any work. Like, it's not like Death where you're like, oh, let me go kill a bunch of stuff. And then, like, I build my deck. You're not doing any of that. You're just playing dudes and they're big. And it's just like, why? Why is this happening? And I guess my message to you is take advantage of it. It does seem like the kind of thing where if you zoom out, you're like, oh yeah, that is actually pretty messed up. It certainly was for me. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I have been KMBest. You have been phenomenal. We're going to jump into some gameplay. Thanks for making it this far in the video. I will see you in the next one. And as always, remember to like, subscribe, leave comments if you made it this far. I really hope you enjoy it because you're like 15 minutes into a video. So if you don't like me, I don't know what you're doing watching for 15 minutes, but I guess thank you for the ad revenue. Have a great one. I'll see you next time. Oh, I know Surge is good. Shadow King? Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't want to do the shield because I'm making them have actual things that do stuff about this. But I don't know how good of a job I'm actually doing of that. Cannonball Miles? Destroy that space stone and I win, yeah? Oh, god damn it. Wait. Tiebreak win, yeah. Okay, cool. The space stone just had to go one way or the other. Is this a snap? I really, honestly, I don't know. I think it is now. Yep. Going with that name, it's time to mute immediately. I guess. Sick altar. Maybe Golden Fish gifted 5 subs. Thank you so much. Holy shit. Thank you so much. Alright, so what are they looking at here? It can't die. The whole point of that play was it can't die. What? What happened here? Yep. Gimme. Turn winning this shit without a question. Not a thought in my mind. Okay, we should win barring absolute catastrophe off this reality stone. Okay, not catastrophe. We're good to go. That was a very close to absolute catastrophe scenario. They got a lot of points on that right lane. But, our free guy carried us through. You know what's weird is I guess it would have worked on the left lane too. Because they were only getting +4 each Surfer proc. I didn't think about that. They were only adding +8. We had 20-something. We didn't even need to play on the right lane. That actually made it needlessly close. What a good girl you are. What an amazing girl that cat is.
Probably a snap, yeah. The fuck out of here, dog. So this, they need to win a lot of shit. I don't think they can win left and right and mid at the same time. $10, $26, Demon, and not gonna beat mid. I can count to 15, baby.